Dear students, welcome to Swayam Shikshaa. We are here with one more important theme, that is human and social capital. Now, it's an interesting theme because every year there is one question with respect to this area. For example, questions on demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend, etc. There are questions on inclusive governance. Okay, and there are questions on which of the following is part of inclusive growth, or there are questions related to even something like what are the things that are needed for maximum utilization of our working population, etc. So let's try to observe this particular thing. Now see this. Which of the following can aid in furthering the government's objective of inclusive growth? Now, when we talk about inclusive growth, it's a concept from the beginning which we should understand that inclusiveness, okay, though we have targeted inclusive growth from the beginning, it failed because of failure of trickle down theory. So trickle down theory believed that let me focus, let the government focus on something like the upper sections of the population, that is giving tax benefits to the upper sections of the population, and the benefits will directly percolate down to the masses. But in India, though economic growth, GDP growth was increasing, the benefits of the growth did not percolate down to the bottom sections, or the benefits did not lead to something like fall in poverty or creation of jobs, etc. So this was something was seen as a failure of trickle down theory. And from that time onwards, even after 1991, what we should understand is the developed countries or the capitalist countries always try to push capitalism in the name of trickle down. What they say is at the top, if the growth is going to increase, everybody will have a share in the growth. But at the same time, this concept of inclusiveness was also a failure even in the developed world. But at the same time, in the developed world, since everybody has a decent standard of living, the concept of inclusiveness is not so important there. But in India, when the inequalities between rich and poor are increasing, then automatically an aspect of inclusiveness or inclusive growth becomes even more important. Now, let's try to understand with this background, let's try to solve this question. So, promoting SHG, self help groups, or micro, small, and medium enterprises, as we see in this question, and even implementing RTI, all these are part of inclusiveness, no doubt about it. Okay, everything will help, especially the bottom sections. Now, next question here. Which of the following can be said to be essentially the part of inclusive governance? So, on my slide here, we can see this question. Which of the following can be said to be essentially the part of inclusive governance? Now, understanding this, what is inclusive governance also becomes important. So, when I say inclusive governance, it is a way of participative way of something like governance where citizens and other stakeholders participate in the decision making process. That is what is called as inclusive governance. Now, when we talk about the 73rd, 74th constitutional amendments, okay, giving rights to the panchayats and municipalities, we can look at that particular aspect also as a part of inclusive governance. So it's a participative approach. Now, based on that logic, if I see establishing effective district planning committees in the district is also part of inclusive governance. Increasing government spending on public health, yes. And then strengthening midday meals, these are the part of inclusive governance. But permitting NBFCs to do banking, etc., is not so much related to inclusive governance. Okay, and therefore the answer for this question should be 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so very important understanding, because we may think NBFCs also will go ahead with financial inclusion, and therefore that should also be. Yes, financial inclusion is part of inclusive growth, no doubt about it. But here the question is inclusive governance. So when I use the word inclusive governance here, this aspect of inclusive governance does not include NBFCs as such. Okay. Now here, next question here. To obtain full benefits of demographic dividend, which should India do? Or here 4 options are given. And for such questions, there may be some options which are very close. And we have to select only one. Now the question is to reap the benefits of demographic potential. So here, first of all, what we should understand is the economic growth potential that is resulting because of the shifts in the demography, or we find there is more of the working age population between 15 to 64 years who can contribute more to the economic growth rather than the population which is less than 15 or more than 64. But at the same time, this young population which can contribute to economic growth may not be efficient unless and until certain things are there. Okay, so what is that main aspect? We have to look into it. Okay, so that is the question here. So here introducing more social security. Social security, of course, no doubt it is important, especially at the for the old age. Basically reducing infant mortality, it is basically for less than 5 years. We are talking about infant mortalities here. Privatization of higher education, yes, decently required, but if I have to select one between promoting skill development and privatization of higher education, I will definitely go ahead with promoting skill development, because this demographic dividend which we have, maximum chunk of population between 15 to 64, will become useless unless and until there is appropriate skill development. And that is the reason the answer should be A. Very important understanding of this concept. Now, next question. Human capital formation as a concept is better explained in terms of process which enables. Now, here, human capital is something like an intangible wealth. It is not purely tangible. That is what we have to understand. So, it is not like the physical capital, it is endogenously built in the body and mind of its owner. So, what I can call it as, it is not purely physical capital which I can see. It is basically an intangible entity. So, based on this logic, this question has to be answered. So, individuals of a country to accumulate more capital. So, this is physical capital. So, physical capital aspect should not be the primary aspect here. Increasing the knowledge, skill level, and capacities of people. Yes, this is one important area. Now, tangible wealth. No. So, accumulation of intangible. Yes. Now, if I see 3 and 4 should not go together. One is tangible, another one is intangible. So, even in that manner, also, I can answer this question. I can eliminate options. Okay. And here, the answer should be obviously the second and the fourth one, that is C. Okay. So, very cautiously, don't think that, I know every concept of economics and I have to answer this. No, it doesn't work out that way. It is basically thinking, yes, what is human capital? Is it tangible, intangible? And then how is he asking a question here? Okay, is he talking about physical capital? Why did he ask about physical capital? In that way, if we can think for a second, we'll get to the right answer. Now, see here, in a given year in India, official poverty lines are higher in some states. Actually, when we talk about poverty and we talk about something like absolute poverty. So, when I use the word absolute poverty, how do we measure in India absolute poverty? Okay, so basic requirements for leading a dignified life. So, I take a basket of goods and services, which I will call it as the necessities. And this basket of goods which are required for a dignified life, I will convert this into monetary terms. Okay, monetary terms. And if I say something like 72 rupees a day or 71 rupees a day, monetary terms, I'm converting it into monetary terms. Or 37 rupees earlier stated by committees like Suresh Tendulkar. So converting it into monetary terms, and all those who are falling below this, we are calling them as BPL or below poverty line. So this is how, and today we are not using this as an indicator for schemes. Today state government is handling the identifying the poor people, etc. So this is not the criteria for identifying poor people anymore. But poverty line, very important, because especially there were several committees, and one of the important committee is Suresh Tendulkar committee, which talks about poverty lines. It talks about what should be done with respect to estimating poverty. So Suresh Tendulkar was very specific in saying, don't just depend on food calorie for assessment of poverty. He was also talking about something like slowly move away from the food calorie method, give adequate importance to education, health, etc., while deciding this basket. Third, he also suggested a uniform poverty line basket. So the urban poverty line basket, the basket will be same for both urban and rural. The price will not be same. Poverty line will not be same. Basket is same. Why is the line changing? Line will also change from state to state because of the inflation state. So state level inflation also. So that is a differentiating factor. And Suresh Tendulkar committee was also talking about shift from uniform recall period to mixed recall period. Like this, many suggestions were given. But one observation is, yes, poverty line will change. not just because of the basket, but also price. So official poverty lines are higher in some states because price levels, because this basket may be of different price in different states. As simple as that. Based on inflation, it has to be adjusted. So therefore, price level vary from state to state. Now let's go to the last question here. Very important. In the context of any country, which one of the following would be considered as part of its social capital? Again, the question is social capital when the proportion of literates in in the population, the stock of buildings, size of population, the working age, level of mutual trust and harmony in the society. Now, this is something like a very important aspect. So, when we use the word social capital, okay, so in every society, some people have a greater share of valued resources, whether it is money, whether it is property, education, health, than others. Okay, and these social resources can be divided into one is the economic capital, material assets, income, etc. One can be something like the cultural capital, qualification, status, whatever it is, education, qualification, status, etc. Then the social capital in the form of networks of contacts and social associations. Okay, so networks, contacts, and social associations. Okay, so that is something which we should understand. So the level of mutual trust and harmony in the society is the closest option. So that will decide the social capital. So even social capital is not the same for everybody. Okay, so here the level of mutual trust and harmony in the society. Okay, so this is basically from our basics of NCRT concept, and the answer is D. And I hope you have enjoyed the video. And this video will also help you out to get one or the other question in the exam. And we are also coming up with current affairs videos, economic survey, and also we'll start off with modern history as well. Stay tuned with our YouTube channel, keep sharing and keep practicing. And anything you want with respect to strategy, like if there is stress developing or you feel that there is some other problem with respect to a particular subject or how to strategize prelims in at the current point of time, you can please do comment in the comment box. I will take those questions in the next video. Okay, and don't be boggled down under stress, because this is the right time where we have to do maximum amount of practice, and practice is the only way which will keep us motivated, and at the same time the stress levels will also be coming down. So practice as many questions as possible, and also your CSAT as well. Okay, signing off. Thank you.